running webinars or classes, and you're paying a fee when your customers are registering to attend your event. Imagine if you were able to help a child learn to read, all while imparting your knowledge. So that is what we're going to be talking today with Josh Ross. I'm so excited to welcome Josh to the show. And Josh, I'm so excited. It's like I have to contain myself. But thank you so much for being here. And I want to jump in because the show or the platform that you have is actually called Humanitix. And it's similar to what I was saying, but I cannot wait to dive in and talk about how you got to this spot and why this was a passion project for you. So tell us a little bit about Josh Ross and who you are first, and then we'll get into the Humanitix.
Great. Thanks, Sherry, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from Australia. I grew up in Sydney, and about 7 years ago, I teamed up with one of my best friends, Adam McCurdie, to create one of the world's first technology charities, Humanitix. And outside of work, we both love hiking, surfing, traveling. So we did a lot of backpacking together as university students. And I'm going to become a father in about 7 months. So that's quite exciting.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And I do love an Australian accent. I just have to say. most people do. I have a lot of friends in Australia, actually. So
Cool.
That's amazing. And I love the fact that you did this outside of your regular job, right? Humanitix is sort of a passion project that is developed outside of what you actually do for quote unquote your living, correct?
For the first 2, 3 years, yeah, it was me and my co-founder moved back to our parents' place, and it was a massive hustle. And we had about 6 volunteers working full time on the idea. And then eventually we got backing from some big technology foundations. And since then, now the board members are volunteers, but the staff are all paid. But yeah, it was, it is structured as a charity. So the first few years were particularly tough, but super rewarding.
Oh, it's awesome. And I'm sure you've collected an incredible group of people. I've met some of your staff, and I very much appreciate their customer service. So I want to talk
Thanks.
about Humanitix and literally what is the platform? Maybe you could explain it, because I kind of led into it that it would be something that entrepreneurs or somebody running an event would be interested in. But can you share a little bit about what it is and how it's used?
Yeah, sure. So Humanitix it's a social enterprise. So it's a ticketing platform that event organizers use to build and run events and sell tickets and capture attendee information. And it's very comparable to platforms like Eventbrite, sometimes platforms like Ticketmaster. And the key difference is that all the profits from the booking fees Humanitix earns fund different education programs for the world's poorest children. Again, there are no shareholders. And so, yeah, this year we're giving a couple of $1 million to our programs, and that comes at no extra cost. In fact, the fees are a lot lower than the for-profit ticketing platforms. And our clients shape from small businesses owners running 10-person workshops all the way up to like 30, 40,000 person music festivals, conferences, gala dinners, everything in between.
And like, this is the moment where I just go, wow, like that is, I literally am awestruck by that, because as business owners, I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I mean, I am a heart-centered leader, really want to be able to make more so I can give more and do more. And this is like one of those like win, win, win. I mean, and that's how I live my life. It's my mantra: win, win, win. I win, you win, the people we serve wins. And that's exactly what happens. I just absolutely am blown away by how the structure of the company works. So what is it that really prompted you and Adam to develop this? Like, what was the impetus? What was that thing that you went, we should really do this?
Yeah, it's a convolution of factors. So So we wanted to have the most impact we can have with our time in the things we care about. And I think education is the greatest gift you can give to a human coming into this world. And it solves so many other downstream problems when you have a good education system, and children are excluded from it because of their socioeconomic status. Now, how that marries up with ticketing, well, me and Adam dreamt this up when we were in our early 20s. And as early 20s, we were buying tickets to festivals and concerts. And I mean, how annoying is it when your your band's coming to town, you're super excited. It's a great moment, and you go to buy a ticket, and you buy a $50 ticket, and at checkout it becomes $90 because of some ridiculously high fee. Well, like something's broken there, and maybe that can be used or completely reimagined for good. And the social enterprise ecosystem is growing. So like Patagonia is a great example. They recently changed their structure so that all the profits from Patagonia go to the environment. And there's a lot of cool examples of that in Australia as well. And we thought, let's create a social enterprise that flips the ticketing industry on its head because we're sick of it, everyone's sick of it, and lowers the fees while simultaneously solving a problem we care about. And what would that look like? And can we do that as a technology charity? Because there's not many examples of that in the world. And so, yeah, we started the experiment 7 years ago, but it took off because the thesis that everyone hates ticketing platforms turned out to be true. And and the other thesis, which is that if you give people an ethical alternative that doesn't charge an ethical premium, but is a better service at a better price and create a genuine win-win, then that will scale really quickly. And so we didn't run it as like hippies with just a dream. We really focused on building a good software platform. And so before I drew a salary, we'd raised a bit of philanthropic funding, and we put that all towards software development. And so it's a very outside the box idea. There are actually no other technology charities in the world that have scaled this big so far, but it's very exciting because it can do a lot of good for the world. I mean, just think about all the big tech companies that are in the papers for not being good social actors. It's a very powerful industry, and so we think this is one of many examples to come, hopefully.
I love that. And what a trend-setting organization. And I always think that it's like such a beautiful thing when you can marry something that you're really passionate about, in like the education part and educating, the least advantaged individuals. But you're marrying it with people who are in great big profit centers, and
Yeah.
but it is such a good, I don't know if you want to call it a kickback for a business owner to be able to say, listen, I'm going to pay the fees anyway, but I get to have a say now in where my fees go and what it serves. And
Yeah.
I just, you don't know this, but I just shared this with a networking group that I was in this week, and it was like jaw dropping for them. And they're like,
Thank you.
what? And I said, yeah, it's like you're going to pay the fees anyway. And we understand that. I think, when we go to a concert, when we go to a conference, we're going to pay the fees anyway. But I think the magic is in the fact that we're going to be able to direct that fee to something that's really impacting the world. So, like when I get to go listen to a great band or go to a great conference to learn, I'm going to be able to actually impact the world indirectly, right?
Yeah.
Because you've made that happen with this company. I just think it's the greatest thing. And before we got on camera, I said, I actually heard about this in an email. And part of the thing was I read the email, and which I get a lot of emails. I don't read them all, but I did specifically read that one and respond. Now, I know that you've had some different press. I know that there's been a couple articles that have been written about it. Can you tell us about, I know a couple pretty prominent articles. Can you share a little bit about some of the publicity that you guys have received for what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So we recently had a big write-up in Forbes, which was massive for us. Just talking about how, there's an ethical alternative in this industry that is shaking it up. Sam Harris, who's controversial but a big podcaster, he actually unsolicited ran a first ad on his platform promoting Humanitix. So a lot of people in the tech community in California got quite interested and reached out on the back of that. In Australia and New Zealand, we are like a household brand now, and the greatest rugby captain of all time. He won us 2 World Cups. You wouldn't know who he is, but his name's John Eales, but he's like sporting royalty in that part of the world. He's our ambassador, and he does that all for free, and he's given us massive write-ups across Australia and New Zealand. But yeah, probably the coolest article we had was actually by a disability group in North America called Nobility. They are experts in web accessibility. And people don't know this, but a lot of people don't know this, but Humanitix is the most accessible platform for people with disabilities in the ticketing space. And so we have blind event organizers using our software, running events, checking people in independently, because we've completely configured our platform to be web accessible. So that was some pretty cool press, but it's kind of a niche category of accessibility, which isn't that widespread in
And I
terms of
love that.
understanding.
And my heart is just bursting because I just actually sent a referral to you that works with people with disabilities. And I actually didn't know that when I sent him there. So I'm excited because I spoke with him this week, and I think that's going to work out for him to use for his platform. So like,
Awesome.
That's like the ripple of blessings, right? Like there was the email. I had no idea who he was. Like I found out, I told him that helps them. I'm like, I just think that's sort of the depiction of what all of this is about, is that ripple of blessings, because you and Adam stepped into a space that, was really sort of blue ocean, like not done before, and created a framework that it's not just going to be about Humanitix. It's going to be about how this kind of company can change the world as a whole. And I just love that. So I want to talk a little bit about the organizations that are supported, because I want to give them a nod, and I want you to share with us a little bit about why they were chosen. And I know education is important, but I want you to give a little information on those organizations, if you would, Josh.
Yeah, sure. So Humanitix helps thousands of charities, some more than others, but for event organizers that are charities and nonprofits themselves, they get to use our platform at our sustainable cost price. So literally like United Nations, thousands of charities use us for events, and they save because the fees are a fraction of like what an Eventbrite would charge. But then when the clients are for profit, our fees are still very competitive. They're 30% below Eventbrite in America, roughly. But we make a profit on that, and that funds particular education programs that we have chosen. And the way we choose those well, firstly, I'll tell you what they are. So the big ones in America are Room to Read and Code.org. Code.org helps teach computer science to children from disadvantaged backgrounds, whether it be minority groups or lower socioeconomic backgrounds. They help teach teachers on how to teach computer science in engaging and fun ways. It's all about teaching, making sure children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds don't fall behind in what is arguably like a critical skill set now, which is computer science. To work in the job forces of tomorrow, you need to be computer literate. And I mean, COVID was a great example where kids were locked down at home. If you didn't come from a wealthy family, you didn't have proper internet or a proper computer to work from, and your disadvantage just compounded. So it's an amazing program across North America, predominantly the United States, but it's does global work as well. And so we've got a massive partnership with them, and a lot of our profits flow into code.org. Internationally, we partner with Room to Read, and they focus on young girls' literacy and life skill programs in the poorest parts of the world. So a lot in Asia and sub-Saharan Africa. And these are regions of the world and specific areas in those regions where girls are often married off at 13 or pulled out of school. It might be at their school there's not sanitary bathrooms. So once they go through puberty, they have to miss a few days a month at school and they fall behind. So it's all around building capacity so that girls can stay in school, get a proper education, have agency over their life, get better opportunities to break the cycle of poverty. And just the evidence around investing in young girls' education in low-income countries it's one of the highest return things you can do in the world, not just from a humanitarian perspective, but also from an environmental perspective. The United Nations ranks it as one of the top 10 ways to help the environment, because when women have agency over their life, and aren't married off at 12, 13, they have, they make different choices and have often more sustainable family sizes. And so there's just lots of downstream benefits. Also, a small indictment on men, but women are more likely to invest in their children's education if they get more wealth, where men also invest in their children's education, but not as high a proportion. So it's just a really good circuit breaker for poverty. And yeah, again, that
I
costs our
love that
clients nothing
phrase, a
extra.
circuit breaker for poverty. That's amazing.
Thanks. So yeah, that's where all our profits go. That and growing Humanitix and improving accessibility. Yeah, and so that doesn't cost our clients anything extra. It's just we have no shareholders, so that's where it goes instead. It's a pretty unique model.
That's amazing. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to find out what it would look like for you and your organization or your business to work with Humanitix. And we are back here with Josh Ross with Humanitix. And before the break, we were talking about all the amazing things that Josh and Adam are doing in Humanitix to create a global impact. And so I really want to discuss a little bit with you now, Josh, about what a business owner, like what are the steps that a business owner would take if they want to look at the program for their business or their event.
Great, thanks for asking. So if you're taking registrations or selling tickets to any type of event, you can go to humanitix.com. You can book a free demo, and one of our account executives will understand what your business needs from an events perspective and show you how our software works. And if at the end of that you're happy, you can create a free account. There's no license fee. You can run events. If they're free events, it's completely free. If it's paid tickets, there's booking and credit card fees, but they're the lowest on the market. And we're a social impact organization. So your customers see that the booking fee and the tickets are supporting a great cause. And we thank you for doing that because you've made the ethical choice to procure from us. And now, and we have a whole bunch of collateral that you can use to promote that you've made this decision. And again, it doesn't cost you or your patrons anything extra. And so the platform's super robust. It literally has, right now, it has about 14,000 live events on it. It's, yeah, great customer service, free customer service, and we're just trying to disrupt the industry.
I love it. I think disrupting it is what you're doing. And like, I feel honored to be on this side of the room, like helping you disrupt it more. Because I think, we are all as business owners, we want to grow our businesses and we're going to do that regardless. It's just about whether you want to do it and create an impact at the same time. So I know you said that you can book a demo. This is what I did. I actually reached out and one of your staff members, Jessica, did a demo for me. She showed me how the system worked, answered all my questions. I really want to encourage people to go to Humanitix.com and actually book your own demo to find out how it can benefit your organization or your business. I know I also referred one of the charities that I work with this week to the Humanitix as well, because I want them to be able to retain the most amount of their donation-driven organization, because that's all, they're 100% donations. So I want them to be able to keep as much as possible, but what they don't keep, they get to allow that global impact. So I just really want to encourage you to book your time on humanitix.com. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, Josh, before we close out?
No, thank you. Just to reiterate, we joke that we put the human back in ticketing at Humanitix. So like, if you go on Google, you see nothing but 5-star reviews. You can always jump on a call with us. Doesn't matter if it's a small event or a large event. The other thing is what you were saying about charities. Like often charities running their gala dinners, they're losing 5 to 10% of the ticket price to booking and credit card fees. And we can't get rid of all of it because there are credit card fees, but we can save them like a couple of percent every year. And that just drops down to their programs. So if you know a charity that can benefit from this, please point them in our direction. Thank you.
And I love that you have brought that cost down for 501c3s to be able to really them maximize their dollars that are coming in on their events and their conferences and things that they're doing. It's just a great human collaborative effort. And
Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations to you and Adam for creating an impactful, amazing company that is changing lives every single day. Thank you so much, Josh, for being a wow warrior, because trust me, when I opened the email and I read what this is about, the word out of my mouth was wow. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Sherry. Thanks for supporting us and believing what we do. It means a lot.